All right, now is going to be our story segment. So, oh, and apparently it's time for third shot, so I got to go pick it up on the other camera there.
Oops, all right. Hang on.
I'll see you on the other camera.
I'm going to go back up here and just sit down in the stands and the bleachers so I can be here and watch the other Gust Ball games that I presume might go on while we're talking about other items. So pardon me, Tracy, as I just get my character situated.
It's quite all right. It's very important to get one's character situated.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. This looks like a good spot to sit, except for some reason the bleacher is not working for me, so I'm just going to have to do it manually.
All right. So apparently we've raised another $2,500, so our third shot for the day puts us at over $7,500 raised today. We're getting closer to that first prize at $10,000 of the Gossamer Cloak. Cheers!
Gossamer Cloaks for everyone, getting close.
Thank you, everyone, thank you.
And just to plug, I'm actually using our fantastic Shroud of the Avatar shot glasses. These are available at Relics by Rill, so if you want one, and you need one, you really do, you can pick one up there.
All right, so Chris and I are going to soak up a little bit of the booze and have a little bit of lunch real quickly, and we'll let you guys talk about story. And I think Lump Dizzle's our host for this segment.
Yes, I am.
All right, we're handing it off to you.
All righty. I want some vodka.
And Lump, while you're getting set up, I just want to ask Tracy a question. Obviously, you and I have not had the chance to be on the air or even much by telephone. We've had a few emails recently, mostly about the Void. But let's see. What's your fall show schedule? Have you been doing any of the Comic Cons or Gen Cons, or what are you doing these days?
I did. Well, we did Gen Con in Indy here earlier in August, and let's see.
I think you're not going to be at Dragon Con, sadly. But
I will not be at Dragon Con, sadly. A convention which could be much improved by my attendance.
Indeed.
Sadly, I'm going to miss Dragon Con and of course the Parsec Awards there. So
Yep.
Hopefully we'll have some sort of virtual presence. I am scheduled for Comic-Con Salt Lake Comic Con, with lots of other interesting, fun people. I've gotten involved a little bit with the Alan Tudyk's Con Man project.
Excellent.
And that's been fun. I might actually be in it. We'll see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
All right.
And then I've got so Salt Lake Comic Con. Looking forward to that, and hopefully, actually, at Salt Lake Comic Con, we'll be able to take a number of people down to the Void and have them experience that about the same time. They've just recently completed a new demonstration adventure piece that's an ancient temple Indiana Jones sort of thing that I hear absolutely rocks. I can't wait to get down there and experience that one.
Yeah, and for any of you that have not done that, now that it's more public, do a YouTube search for The Void, and you will be stunned at what Tracy's I can't hardly even can say young son now. You're the young man, the elder statesman, whatever you want to call him now, that has created this. The Void has created. It's astounding.
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty excited about it. They've everybody who has gone through and experienced the Void has come out saying, "I thought you guys were kidding. I thought the video was just all hype." But no, the experience is actually as good or even better than what you see in the video. So, like I said, I'm anxious to go down and just experience the whole flaming temple interior that they've got going down there right now. it's yeah. Please go visit thevoid.com and take a look at the videos there and the experience that's down there. They're actually right now looking at possibly doing licensing of different settings to recreate in the void. So you know, who knows what kind of experiences we'll get out of that kind of a cool arrangement. But that's it, mostly for me. I'm going to be finishing up. I'm going to be doing Salt Lake Comic Con, and here at the end of toward the end of September. And other than my trip as the built-in grandpa nanny for my daughter's trip to Disney World in October, where Laura and I are going to go along as the built-in babysitters for 3 of our grandchildren. I have nothing else planned here except to work and to write.
Well, while we're still getting...
Please go ahead and take over control of the session there. Sorry to kind of insert there on top of you.
Okay.
All right. Shall we wiggle? All right, I got a little intro here I'm going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of appropriate ages, I would like to welcome you to Hour 3 of the End-of-Summer Telethon of the Avatars. In this hour, we will be doing deep dive into the story of Shroud of the Avatar, Forsaken Virtues. I am your host, the ADD DJ and director of The Wiggle on Avatars Radio for the Avatars. I'm also a variety streamer on Twitch.tv. I am LumpDizzle666, and this hour's guests here we have Tracy Hickman, well known. I've read some of them myself for the Dragonlance series. We have Lum, NPC writer and head quest dude. That's dude spelled in all caps, DOOD exclamation point at the end. We also have Gina, aka Fire Lotus, community manager, also writer of stuff and things. And last but not least, the one, the only, Richard. What's your name? Do we know your name? Yes, we do. It is Lord British Garriott. I always mess up at the end of something. All right, so we're here to talk about the story. The story. I love stories in game. It is usually the first and the last thing that captures me about any single game I play. So, care to touch on anything specific with us?
Well, here, let me give an intro, if I might, about story. You know, I actually think if you look at most computer games, you know, computer games still, to my mind, are in their infancy from quality storytelling standpoint. And I would like to believe, and or at least make the case, that a lot of the work that we did with the Ultima series and some since then have been at least try to push that envelope harder than most games, which, and by the way, games don't have to have story at their core, but, you know, most games are game mechanics. That's the core aspect of most games that makes them popular and sell well. But I can say that, you know, as a person who's tried to put relevant story and story with depth into the games and have noted how hard it is, and yet believe we've made some good progress, that in my time as a storyteller in games, you know, it really requires, you know, if I look at the back of the best and worst of our own work, it really requires a great collaboration between both great game makers, or people with skill at, you know, developing software, as well as great writers, but not just any writer. It requires a writer who, you know, really also is a gamer and can really understand how to what the unique problems are with interactivity that don't show up in linear prose of books or linear prose of storytelling in movies. And it turns out to build a collaboration like that is extremely hard. And really, there's 4 people on with you today that are leading our effort on that. You've mentioned me and Tracy as the foundation, the people doing the foundation of the story, but you also have Scott Jennings and Gina here on with you too. And Scott is not only our head writer, but also the head programmer of all the conversation systems and all the quest systems. And then Gina, who most people know as our community manager, which is one of her primary duties, she is also writing a lot of the conversations and books and helping coordinate some community input around those same aspects. And it really has taken this whole team to pull this off. And this is a team unlike any that I've worked with before. I mean, I've been public in the past saying that I think the best stories in Ultima's past were the Ultimas where I partnered with Warren Spector, who's not only a world-class developer, but is a far better writer than I ever aspired to be. And so while I would give much kudos to this day to Warren, it's been an incredible opportunity to work with Tracy this time around. We've been friends for many years, we've been looking for an opportunity to work together, and this has really given us an opportunity to fulfill a dream I think we've shared for oh so many years. So sorry, that was sort of a preamble, lengthy at that, but I don't know if you have any off the top stuff you want to say too, Tracy.
Well, I just wanted to mention the fact, of course, that Richard and I have been friends for a very long time. We have, as he said, looked for a very long time to come up with a project that we could work on together. This is a perfect synergy for us, and it's been an exciting exploration from my standpoint to come to understand that side of games, particularly what for me is I've come to view as the magic of storytelling in the electronic environment. It's a very different form of storytelling, and it has very specific requirements of its own. It has I want to say it has limitations, but every art form has its limitations. A novel has the limitation from the standpoint that it's just the written word, and so you don't have the visual presentation to lock into, or the conveyance of as much information from the text as you would say from a film. Film has its own limitations. Film, for example, is limited by the fact that you cannot get inside the perspective of the character. It's all external portrayal, and none of it is internal portrayal. Stage has its own problems, both from the standpoint of portraying inner perspective, but also it's set. You're limited by the physical space of the stage itself and the capabilities of the stagecraft in that. And so, rather than actually look at limitations in electronic gaming in terms of storytelling, I think it's a better perspective to take a look at storytelling in electronic games as what are the unique requirements of the storytelling within the environment, and how does literally the application of magic, and when I say magic, what I mean is the same stagecraft that you use in magic. Right? Richard's a magician, and if, as I recall, performed the first magic show on Orbit. But a magic trick is being able to very much create an effect by misdirection, and by having the imagination of the audience fill in that gap to where you want them to go. And I think that analogy between stage magic and the craft of stage magic and the craft of storytelling in the electronic environment is a good paradigm. You have to work within the structure of the game itself in order to portray story, but you also have to use that structure to imply something that is greater than that is just in the bits. Lead the imagination of the player to fill that in with experience, rather than to look for all of the detail on the screen or in the text. So for me, this has been an incredible journey in pushing the boundaries of storytelling in the electronic environment. Is the electronic environment perfect at storytelling? Well, it's not the same as telling the story in a novel. It's not the same as telling the story in film. But are there further horizons for us to reach? Absolutely. Just as there are still horizons for us to reach in film, still horizons for us to reach in experience. Richard, you mentioned the Void, and one of the exciting applications that they're working on over at the Void right now is literally a film that you walk through, that you're actually immersed in. Film's always been two-dimensional, and then we moved into some 3D, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. But the idea of standing in the middle of the movie and being able to look at everything happening around you is another horizon that the Void is approaching now. Technology, as it advances, hopefully will allow us to refine storytelling and to reach new horizons in storytelling. That's what I love about Shroud of the Avatar, is that we're doing just that we're exploring those boundaries of storytelling and pushing it as far as we know. And actually, with the team that we have, I feel that we can actually push that horizon further than any of us could individually. It's one of the joys of working with these people.
If I can throw out one more thing, Lumpdizzle, here before, I don't know if you have other questions queued up, but we've now built a good chunk of the first third of the story, or first third of the map. So I wouldn't even say we're necessarily to a sixth of the actual story. Maybe Scott can weigh in here in a minute. But the love quest has been the first and early focus, just to see what it was like to implement this fairly complex thing we're trying to do, which is to both make, somebody earlier in the stream said, or one of our employees actually said, hey, this is my first time to work on an MMO. And I almost jumped in and said, we're not technically an MMO. We're not technically a solo player game either. We're somewhere in between. And even when you play it in MMO-like mode, we are trying to do storytelling much more akin to a solo player game, which brings yet another level of challenge on top of the game-making process. How and when can the game throttle down to solo player-like experience to give you some storytelling? When does it open back up to a massively multiplayer setting to let you share those experiences with your friends? And how do we make an end game such that everybody's not just running across the same finish line and saying, hey, I've already won. Have you won yet? Which would spoil it for everybody else who might see each other. And so it required some amazing, new structure. I'm curious. I'm going to ask you, Scott. I didn't know if you were expecting to be put on the line, and I guess we should be doing prizes sometime around here too. But in addition to maybe giving out a prize, which I was given no guidance from Star as to what our frequency should be for doing that. But why don't you tell us about how terrifying, how horrible has it been to try to implement these things that we started down the path of?
This is how terrifying it's been.
That's an interesting quantification.
Yes, and as for prizes, I do have a little bit of guidance for the prizes. So right now, we're a little behind on store credits, so we're going to go ahead and give 3 prizes away. I've got them ready to go. First is we'll give away 2 store credit prizes. This is for $10 of store credit, used for whichever you like. And SAESA, S-A-E-S-A, and Stu, they both get $10 in store credit. Yay. And the second prize that we're giving away is another challenge coin, similar to the one that we were giving away before. I have another challenge coin. It's not identical, but it's roughly, about this. It's your usual kind of challenge coin. Anyway, Gray Fox is the next winner of a challenge coin, so he is good to go. So now that we've got the
else in Port Larry, you can go challenge Scott Jennings because he does not have his other challenge coins. So.
Oh, I have quite a few. Thanks mainly to like this, for example.
All right.
So Star wins the challenge. But now the question you're asking is, what am I terrified about in terms of implementing story and getting it in the game? I'm less terrified now that we've got a lot of great world builders who are coming on, and some of them are actually starting to learn conversation writing and quest writing and starting to get their feet wet in that. So little less terrified, but still, you were asking, is it quantified how much of the story we have done? I'd say in a polished format that we'd be happy with is 0, none. We have none of it ready to go yet. We have fragments that people can experiment with and poke with it and play with it, but I don't think it's a big leap of faith to say that you're not happy with where it is, and neither am I, and we need to iterate more on it and get it up to where we want it to be.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Lump, are we giving you good data there, and would you like to steer us in any direction?
You know, honestly, you guys have asked almost answered every question that I had on the list to ask. A big question. How linear is the story going to be? Is it going to be reactive to player choices, or are we looking at just a set story to experience?
Well, let me take a crack at that. The answer is, in places, we hope that we provide both of those answers. I mean, there's the main beats of the story are reasonably well set. There's